sometimes leadership. And I'm surprised that my brother Raila, who is always aggressive against leadership, has not mentioned. But really, the biggest problem that we have is not that we lack the money. It is not that we lack the brains. It is not that we lack capacity. It is not that we lack opportunity. But we have become very petty as leaders in our thinking. And this is the truth. That we have become more egotistical about our positions. We have become more, pride as opposed to practical. And I don't believe that that was the dream of the founders of this great continent. They wanted us to struggle for independence in order to become bigger and better, not myopic and small thinking. And that was the spirit of Pan-Africanism, a spirit that unfortunately we have lost and we're trying to regain. I heard somebody mention, I don't know who's I'm going to say, saying that the future of the African continent lies in my hands and my fellow leaders. I'm sorry. That's not where it lies. The future of the African continent lies in your hands, in our people's hands. This is where the future lies. And where we find impediments, we must deal with impediments and sort them out. And I'm telling you, Africans are beginning to start to take their future in their own hands. And those who are going to be impediments, anyway, mnajionea, sio mimi nasema, it's happening, right? So what we need to do is to become facilitators of our people, is to become facilitators of our private sectors. It is to remove the smallness of thinking into the largeness that Africa truly is, and to facilitate that to become a reality. I don't know, many of you are Kenyans also, so you know the story. Last year, or 2 years ago, we were fighting severely with my good brother here as to who will be president, who will not be president, who will be what, right? And we fought. And, the country was not going this way or that way, and we had an election. My friend went and said he's rejected it. He doesn't agree. Forced us to another one. Now we kept saying, now how many elections are we going to continue having? But at one point, we came up to terms and said, what is leadership at the end of the day? What is it that we want to do? Is it to move our countries forward, or is it about individual people? And for a brief moment, we sat back and we said, no, it is wrong for us to split and move our country backward in order for one individual to move forward. And we have to find a solution. And we decided that we must come together and work together in order to be able to achieve that dream, that vision that was our forefathers. That's why they struggled. They didn't struggle for us to come and play small politics. They suffered because they wanted all of us to move forward together. And truth be told, that is what we have been working on. That is what we have been discussing. That is the agenda that we have put at center stage. That's why I encouraged him. This is a critical agenda. How do we bring our people together? That's why I have no problem. We may belong to different political parties. We may come from different political regions, but we have the same objective. So if I can use his brain, if I can use his energy, if he can use mine, and we are able to move forward together, why not? Why not? Why not? I find it so strange that where we have been trying to move to bring people together, When you read the newspapers and you listen to people in funerals and in weddings talking, do you know from the first time we met, we have never mentioned the word ODM, we have never talked about the Jubilee, we have talked about Kenya, we have talked about Africa. But if you read the paper, oh no, this is new political machinations, I don't know, who is planning, he has never told me he wants to be president in 2022. I have not told him that I want to continue to be president in 2022. We have just been talking about the issues that affect our people. When it comes to infrastructure, what do we need to do? And we discuss, and we support one another, and we agree. When it comes to health, this is what we need to do. What is this issue of digitizing our records? What is it all about? We sit, we discuss, we agree. He also gives me ideas. I explain, but he also gives me ideas that enhance something and make it even better. Now, what's wrong with that? Lakini bado huko watu, Raila anavunja Jubilee. Where do we talk about Jubilee? We talk about huko. Uhuru anaingilia mambo ya ODM. Me, I have no clue even who ODM is. I don't know. I've never. That's a different setup. But what is most important is us. Is our people, is our country, it's our future, is our continent, is the things that you're discussing here. That is what creates prosperity. Good people. Yeah? Let's focus. And there I agree completely with Raila. Let's focus on Africa positive, not always Africa negative. Africa me. No, Africa us. That's where we need to go. And us includes all of us. Right? Includes all of us. Includes all of us. And we need one another. And we have that potential. But we're not going to achieve it by being small thinkers. So please, when you're out there, it's not frugi about leaders. It's about you demanding what you want from leaders. And when you see leaders who are blocking where you want to go, that's where we do how utadili na hawa. So that we can move forward. Au ni namna gani wenzangu? Yes. This is about 1 billion people, not about 54 leaders. 54 leaders come and go. We behave sometimes as if we'll be here forever. But we come and go. What remains is our 1 billion people and the African continent, and that is what we must do. Those who I believe are privileged to call Africa home. The Pan-African dream of peace, prosperity, and unity is set to be spurred, I believe, by the imminent entry into force of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. This continental feat, I believe, presents an extraordinary opportunity for Africa to become the single largest market in the world. We recognize here in Kenya the need for our continent's leading economies to deepen and to diversify our roles as both hubs and connecting tissues in order for this single market to succeed. But this requires African companies, some of you who are here, to take cross-border leadership in key industries, and for leading hubs, for example, like Kenya, to play their proper role as accelerators for the expansion and triumph of African homegrown champions. And to that end, we in Kenya have gone a step further to facilitate free movement of persons in the continent by offering visas on arrival to all African citizens, because we believe that we need to be able to move in order to trade. You cannot trade if you can't move. In order to create wealth and opportunities for more than 10 million young people who each year are joining the labor market in Africa, we have to open up our economies. We have to ensure that we create open markets, because this is the only way that we can promote value addition and manufacturing. Nobody will set up in Kenya to manufacture for 40 million people. But if you told people that you're coming to manufacture for 1 billion people, that's a whole different ballgame. People will then put their money into our continent. And this is where we need to go. And indeed, industrialization is the way to go if we are to achieve sustained and shared prosperity, as well as job creation for our people. But the question we need to ask ourselves is, what holds us back? What holds back our industrialization? The answer in itself is obvious. Forced borders that we continue to maintain, that were created for the purpose of exploitation and plunder, not for the benefit of the Africans, but for the benefit of those who carved out those borders. Today, we have insufficient stock of functional and quality infrastructure, energy, water, transport, the things that you've been discussing here, that will enable our companies to produce competitively, not only for our domestic African market, but also for international markets. We recognize that high-quality infrastructure reduces, again, as has been stated and you have gone through in your days of discussion, it reduces transactional and other costs, enabling efficient use of labor and capital, but most importantly, enhancing connectivity between production points and market points. We have a financing gap. We need to ask ourselves, as you indeed have been asking yourselves, how do we do that? This is potential investment for African companies to also take advantage of. It is amazing that we have our pension funds, the African continent, investing in buildings, in empty quarries, when they could be investing in infrastructure and getting a return for future. This is where we need to go. Governments across the African continent must also recognize and provide an enabling environment for public and private sector engagement through public-private partnerships, and thus attract the private capital that is necessary for the accelerated development of critical infrastructure needed to unleash our continent's full potential. We need to connect Africa, but this cannot be possible without investing in critical infrastructure, and we need to partner in order to do so. In the 21st century, Africa, there is an even more compelling need and urgency to connect our people from Dakar in Senegal's Atlantic coast to Djibouti, the Gulf of Aden, from Mombasa, Kenya, to Lagos in Nigeria, from Cairo to Cape Town. But this dream cannot be realized unless we find viable solutions to mobilize the required infrastructure financing. Therefore, this forum is important as it presents us an exceptional opportunity for government agencies, private financiers, and stakeholders to come together, share their knowledge, expertise, and experience as we strive to come up with innovative solutions to the challenges we face in financing and implementing world-class infrastructure across our country. I believe in the years ahead, we reaffirm our commitment to do even more to assist African champion companies and African investors. Today, Nairobi is the headquarters of 50 international development organizations, as well as several global multinationals operating on the African continent. This creates an environment, I believe, of excellence and mentorship that enables African champion companies and investors to take a leap to the next level. I want to thank at this stage my good friend and your fellow African champions, because I believe that what you're trying to do is to provide valuable lessons based on the experiences that you have had. And I have understood that you have also discussed the options towards creating a Pan-African financing vehicle for infrastructure, and you have made the first steps towards creating a Pan-African infrastructure plan that we can market jointly as a continent. Let me underline this fact, that the African Union also has a key role to play in promoting and supporting efforts of member states towards the realization of their development goals and addressing the challenges they face in implementing infrastructure projects. So in this regard, I want to continue to challenge my friend and brother through you, the Union, that we must do more. That the African Union must become the vehicle that promotes our prosperity and our unity. In every African culture and society, in all our languages, there is a common saying from our ancestors that always reminds us that unity is strength. If as a continent we came together and built regional and continental infrastructure platforms and networks, the benefits for the individual states, regional blocs, and the continent as a whole will elevate our entire continent to greatness. I commend you, Afro-champions, for your initiative. I commend the African Union's High Representative for Infrastructure for convening this infrastructure Boma. And I look forward to our continued collaboration as we explore further innovative and practical game-changing solutions aimed at accelerating the social and economic prosperity of our country. Indeed, on behalf of the government of Kenya, I once again reaffirm our long-standing commitment to serving as a leading hub for African champions, particularly African multinational companies seeking to expand their operations and influence across the African continent and beyond. I want to take this opportunity also to thank all moderators, all the panelists, all the speakers, participants for their active participation and invaluable contribution during this conference. So I will finish the written one.